We go through the notes we made from our research into loneliness now, Dev. Okay, Tamara, it's been a real eye-opener. I had no idea that loneliness has been increasingly steadily for the last 20 years. I know, and it's the same all over the world. The dark side of the modern lifestyle, I guess. Did you come any conclusions about what the reasons for the increase are? Well, I assumed it was mainly an issue for the elderly, but in fact, it's something will affect you people just as much.
So nothing really to do with longer lifespans.
What,
Um,
what
what
about
about
social
social
media?
media?
In
In
my
my
case,
case,
far
far
from
from making
making
me
me
feel
feel isolated,
isolated,
it
it actually
actually
does the
does the
opposite.
opposite. It definitely does more good than harm. I'd say loneliness has a lot to do with the way cities are designed. People living high-rise flats would not.
I think you're
You're
right.
right. Another possible reason is that people are having fewer children and don't live in large extended family groups.
But in this country, anyway, that all changed decades ago. And yet, loneliness is a more recent problem.
I suppose so. Is a more plausible explanation is that people are having to move around for work and often end up miles away from their family and friends.
That's true.
Looking at a study on how raised on loneliness, there's loneliness has as much impact as smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Or similar to the risks caused by obesity. But I'm not sure there's enough evidence for some of these claims.
Well, Finland, which shown that loneliness increased the risk of cancer by about 10%, and the findings have been supported by other studies too.
You're right about that one. I was actually thinking of the studies on dementia. Some found no association between loneliness and dementia, and others found the opposite.
Not exactly rival then. There's been a lot of research on cardiovascular disease and whether loneliness contributes to that.
Yes, I read that it was hard to reach judgment, as the definition of loneliness varied quite a lot, and the responses from participants were too subjective. But there's no doubt that loneliness contributes to a weakened immune system.
Unquestionably, the data on that is sound. What did you think about the evolutionary theory of loneliness? Well, I thought the idea that loneliness evolved because it motivated people to be with other people quite convincing. Survival often depended on group cooperation.
But
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
there's
there's enough
enough evidence to
evidence to
claim
claim that
that
there must
maybe
be a group of neurons in our brains which influence social behavior by making us feel bad when we're alone.
there are few studies with possible, but not conclusively enough. More evidence is needed.
And
Anyway,
anyway,
this
this
theory
theory
is
is
not
not
really
really
useful
useful
when
when
it
it comes
comes
to
to solving the problem of loneliness today. True.
Now,
Should we look at the relationship between loneliness and mental health now? Okay, so loneliness and depression are clearly related, and that's been recognized by various governments around the world. But unlike depression, loneliness has no recognized clinical form.
there's no available diagnosis or effective treatment, and that's not likely to change.
I don't think so either. Thinking we should start our presentation with an example from our own experience. I'd like to talk about how lonely I was when I started university, being away from home for the first time and all that.
Good idea.
Everyone will be able to relate to that, although a lot of studies were
probably
probably.
too embarrassed to admit to it.
Yeah, we could discuss ways of dealing with loneliness as well, like just talking with strangers.
Loads of studies have shown that
Direction
interactions
which
with
stop
shop
at the system,
assistants
then
and
bar
bar
staff
staff
make people feel more optimistic and relaxed. I don't know about that, but it makes me feel more connected with their community.
True.
Although you need to be a certain kind of person to be able to just strike up a conversation. Good point. We should say something about solitude and how being alone and being lonely aren't the same thing. It's strange way some people can stand being by themselves while others love it.
Yeah, the
The research
research
shows
shows
that
a
certain
certain
amount
amount of
of solitude
solitude is
is
beneficial
beneficial
for
for
well-being,
well-being.
which I
I appreciate,
appreciate.
but
But
being
being
alone
alone
isn't
isn't
something
something
I
I actually
actually
like.
like.
I'd
I'd
never
never choose
choose
to
to
go
go
on
on holiday
holiday
alone,
alone, for
for
example.
example.
Me neither.
Well,
Mệt quá.